Deep beneath the damp forest floor lies a quiet world, a world that was here long before us, and one that will remain long after we are gone. For centuries, humanity viewed them with a mixture of reverence and fear. We called them plants. We called them magic. We even called them the flesh of the gods. But mushrooms belong to a kingdom entirely their own. They are neither plant nor animal. They are fungi, an ancient, mysterious network that breathes, communicates, and shapes life on Earth. Throughout history, they have been our silent companions. They have fueled ancient rituals, fed empires, poisoned kings, and revolutionized modern medicine. To understand the history of mushrooms is to understand the history of life itself. Pull back the veil of the forest and step into the forgotten history of the Silent Kingdom. To find the true origin of mushrooms, we must travel back in time, 400 million years. Long before the dinosaurs walked, long before birds took to the sky, the Earth was a silent, alien place of bare rock and shallow water. But rising out of this wasteland were massive, towering structures. They stood 24 feet tall and 3 feet wide. For a long time, scientists looking at their fossils thought they were ancient trees, but they were wrong. They were called Prototaxites, and they were giant fungi. At this point in Earth's history, plants were tiny, only a few inches tall. Fungi were the undisputed giants of the land. They did not have leaves to catch sunlight. Instead, they ate the landscape itself. Their underground networks secreted powerful acids, melting solid stone to harvest minerals. By breaking down the harsh, volcanic rock of the early Earth, these ancient fungi created the very first soil. They quite literally paved the way for the green world we know today. Without them, the seeds of future forests could never have taken root. Eventually, as the climate changed and true trees evolved, these giant towers disappeared. The fungi withdrew into the shadows. They shrunk in size, but grew in complexity. They moved beneath the soil, waiting for the arrival of the next great civilizations. As humanity finally emerged and built the first great empires, we looked at the Earth with a sense of wonder. And there, growing in the morning dew after a rainstorm, we found the mushroom. To our ancestors, these sudden, mysterious growths felt less like biology and more like magic. In ancient Egypt, thousands of years ago, mushrooms were considered deeply sacred. The pharaohs decreed them to be the sons of the gods and the plant of immortality. They believed eating them could extend human life. The crop was so fiercely protected that ordinary citizens were strictly forbidden from ever touching them. Far to the north, in the frozen tundras of ancient Siberia, indigenous shamans formed a different bond with fungi. They gathered the striking crimson Amanita muscaria. They dried them, consumed them in sacred winter rituals, and experienced vivid visions. Many historians believe these red and white clad shamans, climbing down the smoke holes of their snowed-in tents with sacks of dried mushrooms, directly inspired our modern legends of Christmas. Across the ocean, in the vibrant forests of Central America, the Mixtec, Maya, and Aztec civilizations walked a similar path. They called sacred psilocybin mushrooms Teonanacatl, a word translating to the flesh of the gods. To them, the fungi were not a drug, but a divine telephone, a sacred bridge to speak directly with ancestors and deities. But as empires collapsed and Europe entered the Middle Ages, this reverence shifted into deep suspicion. Mushrooms became associated with witchcraft, darkness, and sudden death. We began giving them eerie names like Death Cap and Destroying Angel. The fairy tales spoke of fairy rings, circles of mushrooms where travelers would be trapped by spirits if they dared to step inside. And so, humanity grew afraid of the dark. We stepped away from the forest floor, forgetting our ancient bond with the fungi kingdom. But farther east, a completely different relationship was brewing, one that would change the way the world eats. While Europe looked upon the mushroom with fear, the East looked upon it with deep reverence and practicality. Along the ancient trade routes of the Silk Road, mushrooms were not seen as tools of witchcraft, but as treasures of health, longevity, and flavor. In ancient China, the glossy, wood-like reishi mushroom was crowned the mushroom of immortality. It was so highly valued for its medicinal properties that it was featured prominently in the world's earliest herbal medicine books. Emperors sent massive expeditions into deep, sacred forests, tasked with finding wild reishi to secure the ruler's health and eternal life. But a true revolution occurred when humanity stopped merely searching for mushrooms and learned how to grow them. Around the 10th century, Chinese agriculturists discovered the secrets of cultivating the shiitake mushroom. By intentionally cutting gashes into fallen oak logs and letting the wild spores settle, they created the world's very first mushroom farms. What began as a rare forest delicacy soon transformed into a staple of daily life. Mushrooms traveled along trade networks, enriching the culinary traditions of Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia. They provided a rich, deeply savory flavor that we now call umami, a taste that completely transformed the ancient culinary world. For centuries, this knowledge remained a craft passed down through generations. But as the world moved into the scientific age, humanity would unlock a microscopic power within fungi, a power that would accidentally save millions of human lives. For millennia, we interacted with mushrooms only on the surface, judging them by the caps and stems that emerged from the soil. But as the 20th century dawned, science began to look closer, and in 1928, a moment of pure carelessness changed human history forever. A Scottish scientist named Alexander Fleming returned to his messy London laboratory after a vacation. He noticed a strange mold had contaminated one of his bacterial cultures. But instead of throwing it away, he paused. He saw that, around the mold, the deadly bacteria could not survive. The mold was a fungus called Penicillium notatum. It was secreting a weapon, a chemical we now call penicillin. This accidental discovery birthed the age of antibiotics. It turned once fatal infections into minor illnesses, saving an estimated 200 million human lives. The very kingdom we once feared as a source of poison had become humanity's greatest shield against death. But medicine was only the beginning. As technology advanced, scientists looked back beneath the forest floor. They discovered that the mushroom we see above ground is just the fruit of a much larger organism. Underground lies the mycelium, a vast, interconnected web of microscopic threads. This network acts like an organic internet, allowing trees and plants to share nutrients, warn each other of pests, and communicate across miles of wilderness. From the towering giants that built the world's first soil, to the sacred symbols of ancient empires. From a humble farm log along the Silk Road, to a miraculous cure in a messy laboratory, the history of the mushroom is a reflection of our own resilience. A reminder that the greatest forces on Earth are often the ones we cannot see. Today, as we look to a changing future, fungi are once again stepping into the light. We are learning to use them to clean up oil spills, create sustainable packaging, and heal our minds. The silent kingdom is still breathing, still connecting, still waiting to reveal its next secret. The next time you walk through the woods, take a moment to look down. Remember the vast, hidden world beneath your feet. And consider what else is waiting in the quiet dark, ready to change the world.